Hello and welcome to another episode of Odds and Ends, Part 5. In this episode, we'll cover several crop plants, specifically Jojoba, service tree, Kakadu Plum, and Maori Potatoes. We'll start off with the plant species Jojoba. The species is called Simsosia chinescens, or by the common name Jojoba. It's a deciduous woody perennial plant native to southwestern North America. This species produces an oil that has the properties of a liquid wax, making it suitable for lubricating machinery at temperatures up to 300 Celsius. However, the wild populations provide inconsistent qualities and quantities of wax. As such, in 1925, the first attempt at domesticating this crop happened in the Boyce-Thompson Southwestern Arboretum in Arizona. Independently, other countries also began tinkering with the plant to try to domesticate it, such as Argentina, Australia, Chile, Egypt, Israel, Mexico, and Peru. In Argentina, little domestication has happened, but they've cultivated over 3,000 hectares of jojoba for oil production. In Australia, by the year 1978, selectively bred cultivars suited to Australian conditions were developed, formed by the union of an Australian government research agency called the CSIRO and the New South Wales Department of Agriculture in the late 1970s and 1980s. In Brazil, breeding experiments between 1977 and 1980 also developed further varieties of jojoba that could be grown without irrigation. And to this day, Brazil is still a major player in jojoba breeding, with many commercial cultivars coming out of that breeding program. Ironically, due to the similarity of this plant's wax to sperm whale oil, the cultivation of this crop reduced the need for whaling by a considerable margin. Now on to the next crop. The next species on our hit list is one with a lot of mystery, Sorbus domestica, or the service tree. This species is unique in that, although it's in the genus Sorbus, it cannot form hybrids with even its closest relatives. It has been historically used in both fresh consumption processing, honey production, and cider production, as well as folk medicine. This species occurs in Central Europe, including Slovakia, Austria, Chechnya, and the White Carpathians, which acts as its most northern edge for this species. Its edible fruit comes in a wide array of different shapes, as seen on this picture, and it varies between individual trees. Based on a study of a large population of service trees in the Carpathian area, seems to suggest that many of these populations are managed landscapes / ancient orchards of some sort, since in this region very few forest biotypes are found and most of the specimens are of heavily cultivated forms. Also in that area, it's been known since the 15th century that gardens and orchards were used to grow and produce these plants for their fruit and for their wine clarification properties. There is also a high proportion of single individuals within certain parts of this region, indicating that the current range in the Carpathian area of the species represents a long-forgotten village and orchard location, where the people left but the trees remain. As of right now, it's unknown from where and when this plant was domesticated, and is still to this day being debated. Much of the history has been hidden as well due to the fact that much of this location has been ravaged by socialistic policies of the 20th century due to field consolidation. Since the species is highly fragmented throughout Central Europe, it is concluded by a researcher that all specimens, even those of non-natural origin, should be preserved for future breeding purposes and conservation purposes. Now onto the Kakadu Plum. The scientific name for a species is Terminalia ferdiana. This is a species of fruiting plant found in northern and western Australia that has fruits used for different food and cosmetic products. In combination with the high vitamin C content ranging from 0.2 to 5.9%, and the ease of propagating the species using both seeds and grafting, and the discovery that adding irrigation actually increases the rate of which the fruit grow and mature, led to interest in breeding this crop. And so in 2018, August 10th, the long since established Kakadu Plum industry formed a breeding project with an organization called Farming Together, as well as a company called Kindred Spirits Enterprise, and the government organization CRCNA, to breed improved cultivars of Kakadu Plum for the many needs and interests surrounding this unique fruit. Now on to the next crop. Now on to the last part of our video, Mori potatoes. For the longest time it was unknown how the Maori got potatoes, since potatoes are native to the Americas and Australia is nowhere close to that location. In a paper by Graham Harris in 2005, and it's also unknown how they grow them there because potatoes, although they live in the tropics, they live in very high altitude areas that are very temperate, and New Zealand is fully tropical. Here are the results of his study, however. In terms of textual evidence, many of the journals specifically mentioned that they were growing potatoes in New Zealand when they got to New Zealand from the Old World, and had already made mythology of how they got it, including the mythical Tiriki Tarango, who obtained potato from a hidden world. There's also listed 15 varieties of potato that appeared, according to the natives, prior to the appearance of settlers. Another bit of mythology called the Song of Waha, I'm definitely butchering that name, also mentions mythology surrounding potato. On the linguistic side, the Maori name for the potato is called puru puru. Puru is the direct origin of potatoes, but not from the native language of the Peruvian people, who called it Quichua, but it's a derivation of the local chief Biru, named by the Spanish conquistadors. Now on to the cultivars du jour. The cultivar Renca has elongated tubers that are small and purple. It's one of the oldest known Maori potatoes described by Harris, and has many wild character traits similar to the European cultivar Congo, which likewise is known to have wild traits. Both have heavy similarity to the native Andean potatoes, such as the Chian Kuchan, making it possible that it was either brought over from South American ships via the Spanish or direct trade between Peru and Australia. In other studies, cited by Graham Harris, it was found that there are no examples of fossilized or preserved remnants of potato pollen or tubers, indicating that potatoes, in this context, are not of pre-European origin. And based on the fact that they sow seeds regularly from potatoes to breed new varieties, the Maori potatoes are likely derived from stock brought over from the Spanish conquistadors to New Zealand, which were then allowed to crossbreed to produce many new varieties in the process of redomestication, with the mythology being younger than expected, and the stories from the travelers being just that, stories. But nonetheless, altering a species that's warm temperate to a fully tropical environment is an impressive feat of the Maori people. Well, that about covers everything. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching this video. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to me on BitChute for a greater variety of content, 4 videos a week. And thank you to all my subscribers on both platforms. I appreciate it.